This is Jenna Knox, and this is the story of how I was pregnant with triplets and didn't know until about less than a month before I actually gave birth to three beautiful baby girls. So we found out that I was pregnant back in August of 2018 and had our first doctor's visit at 8 weeks. And both my husband Kyle and I went into our appointment, and my doctor did a quick scan, um, looking for our baby, looking to see that heartbeat, and saw one baby. He says, "I see one baby." And I said, "Gosh, I'm relieved to hear you say that because I have been so exhausted and so nauseous. I feel like I'm making two babies." "Nope," he says, "there's one." Great. So super excited to see what looked like a healthy little baby in there, and got scheduled to do a blood test the following week for genetic testing, and we could also be able to determine the sex that way. So a couple weeks later, got those test results back, which showed that we were having a girl. So we announced at my son Liam's 2-year-old birthday that we were adding to our family a baby girl, and everyone's so excited. We're just imagining what our life's going to be like. This picture we have of our family, mom, dad, boy, and baby girl, 4 of us. So we thought. So my doctor didn't schedule another ultrasound until my 20-week anatomy scan, which seemed a little late to us. So by the time we got to that 20 weeks, we just couldn't wait to get in there and see our baby girl, make sure everything was looking okay. So we go in and sit down, and the tech, got out the little wand, and as soon as she puts it on my belly, she says, "Wait, there's twins?" And I'm like, "No, there's not." But I'm looking at this screen, and I can very clearly see two babies. So after 20 weeks of thinking we were having one baby, we experienced the shock of finding out that we were having multiples. At that time, what we thought were twins. We just saw two babies at that first anatomy scan. My doctor, of course, very apologetic that he missed the second baby, and he referred us at that time to a perinatologist to redo the anatomy scan. Now that we know there's two babies, we're going to go to a high-risk doctor for most of our visits, redo the anatomy scan, have them take a look at it. So we had that anatomy scan at 24 weeks, just saw two babies. I did another scan at 28 weeks. Again, just saw two babies. So at this point in time, we had ultrasounds and had scans done by 4 different people. My doctor the first time, and then 3 different sonographers or ultrasound techs. And by that time I was 28 weeks, we're kind of feeling pretty well prepared to have twins. We'd had time to sort of mentally process what life was going to be like having twins. We bought a minivan. My sister and mom threw me a twin baby shower. My husband and I went on a twin baby moon when I was, I think, 29 weeks pregnant. We took my son to Disneyland when I was 29 weeks pregnant also. The whole time carrying triplets without even knowing it. So the way we found out that we had a third baby there was we went to a private ultrasound place to get, those 4D images. We had done that when my son Liam um, was in the womb and had a fun experience with that. So we had both of my parents, I believe, were there. My mother-in-law was there. My 2-year-old son was there with us to get this ultrasound viewing and get the 3D or 4D images of our 2 baby girl twins. So we sit down and the sonographer is looking at my belly. I think we managed to get one 4D image of one of the baby girls. And then he turned off the 4D and just went back to like a normal, looking at like a normal ultrasound. And he just was kind of going all over my belly for a while without saying anything. It was really quiet. I'm like, what is he doing? And he asks us, my husband's sitting right next to me, so when did you guys find out you're having twins? And I said, oh my gosh, it's the craziest story. We didn't know we were having twins until we were 20 weeks. Isn't that crazy? I'm waiting for this reaction that people always get when they hear that story. So, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. And he's just silent. Probably just thinking to himself, how in the heck am I going to tell these people what I'm seeing? And he says, something's throwing me off here. I'm like, what? Like, something's wrong. What? And he says, I see 3. I see 3 babies. And that was the moment our lives changed again. From being so excited, about being pregnant with 1 baby to the surprise and shock of finding out we were having 2 babies halfway through the pregnancy. And then, 10 weeks later, I was 29 weeks and 3 days. The first time someone told me that we were actually having triplets. So we called my doctor. I had looked at next to Kyle next to me and was just like, you need to call our doctor right now. It's 4:30 on a Friday. I'm like, he needs to call us back, before he goes home for the weekend. So we talked to our doctor, that first, doctor we ever saw with our pregnancy, and he couldn't believe it. We called our perinatologist the next day. He called me back on a Saturday morning to talk to me and just couldn't believe it. He said, we're going to get you in for another ultrasound as soon as possible. So that next Tuesday, I'm 30 weeks pregnant. They squeeze us in to get an ultrasound, and the tech this time, someone new we hadn't seen before, says, oh, we're just here for a quick scan. I'm like, really? A quick scan? Is it really going to be quick to look at all 3 babies and make sure everything's okay? And she just looks at me like, 3 babies? Like, you're crazy. She didn't say anything like this, but just the vibe she gave off was like, why are you guys here wasting our time? We know there's just twins. And so I just said, all right, great, let's do it. Tell me there's 2 babies and we are out of here. But we know there's 3. We very clearly saw at our previous appointment 3 babies, 3 heads, 3 heartbeats, 3 bellies, 3 sets of girl parts. We knew there were triplets in there, and we had kind of taken the weekend to process that. I did a lot of crying, a lot of just questioning how, how did this happen? How are we going to manage life with triplets? How are we going to afford all this? I'm a teacher. My husband's a small business owner. What are we going to do? And kind of work through all those feelings. So by the time we went in there, we were kind of starting to get used to the idea of, okay, we're having triplets. What next? So she starts the exam and she's just moving her, I don't know what it's called. I call it a wand. The wand up and down and right and left and just all over my belly without saying anything for probably 10 minutes. It was silent. in that room. You could hear a pin drop. The perinatalogist was supposed to be there. He was running late. His assistant or nurse or whoever was in the room too, but nobody's saying anything until eventually the tech says, "Oh, I'm out of paper. I have to go," and runs out of the room. And the nurse runs out after her. And Kyle and I just look at each other like, yeah, right. She didn't run out of paper. They're probably in a panic in the hallway. We're imagining them calling the doctor, like, "You need to get here now. There's 3 babies." I don't know how long they were out there. It was at least a few minutes until she finally comes back in, and I'm like, "Okay, so what's the verdict?" She says, "Well, I think we really better wait for the doctor." Okay, so she goes back to examining me again, and before the doctor came in, she eventually told us. She said, "I don't know how to tell you this, but you're having 3 babies," which we already knew. So we're just like, yeah, that's what we tried to tell you. And she's just, embarrassed. She's like, I just want to cry. I don't know if I need to apologize for my colleagues. And doctor comes in finally, our perinatalogist, who we now know and love very well. But he just comes in like eyes big as saucers and just sits down in the chair and shakes his head. And I don't think they really knew how to approach this situation with us at first. You could tell they were being kind of cautious about what they would say. I don't know if they thought we might be really upset and, say negligence, malpractice, whatever. But that's really not where our heads were at. As I said, at that point, we were just really wanting to look forward. Okay, there's no going back. I'm carrying 3 babies. What do we do now? Are these babies okay? Are they healthy? What do we need to do to make sure we deliver them safely? So that's really where our heads were at moving forward from that. And the situation was that our 3rd baby, who had been hiding prior to that point, that's what they think, that she just was hidden behind one of the other 3 babies. And again, I think for 3 different ultrasound techs, 2 of them in a perinatology unit who are used to seeing multiples, for 3 different ultrasound techs, sonographers, whatever they're called, to not see this 3rd baby, I just feel like she must have been so well hidden. And then things just shifted to where, you couldn't miss her. By the time I got to that 29 weeks, our baby A, they call him baby A, baby B, baby C. Our baby A was transverse on the left side. Baby baby A breech on the left side. Baby B breech on the right side. And baby C was transverse sideways across the top. So they made like a triangle. And, you could just see her, our 3rd baby, clear as day by that point. Whereas before, I think she definitely had just been hiding and they didn't know or even think to look for a 3rd baby. But she made her presence known, and she was measuring much smaller than the other 2 girls by 3 or 4 weeks behind the other 2. So we knew that she was going to determine when I was going to deliver, when we needed, just monitor her growth, make sure she's okay, and when it's time for her to come out, we would have a scheduled C-section. So that was 30 weeks when we got the confirmation from her doctor that we were having triplets, and I was 32 weeks and 4 days when I got admitted to the hospital for monitoring and had the babies a week before that. So yeah, we had less than a month between finding out about the 3 babies and when we actually met all 3 of them. So I think I'll talk in another video about what our hospital experience was like, what the birth was like, how it was having the babies in the NICU. But for now, I'll just say that we have 3 happy, healthy healthy babies. Our 2-year-old has adjusted amazingly well. He's doing fantastic. Um, my husband Kyle and I are getting by. We're surviving with a lot of help. A lot of help, and really just taking it day by day and doing the best we can. So that's it.